and you gonna murder this one and murder that one. Talking all that bullshit. I'm gonna put it to you like this, yo.
This is for the nerds, this is for the brainiacs, this what we deserve. Go ahead and play it back, you ain't gonna touch me, you not gonna do nothing, you are not above me. I bet you wish you was me, I know it, I know.
What is poppin', everybody? And welcome back to another special episode of the Only Friends podcast. Well, you know, it's me and my only friends, which includes, but is not limited to, Matthew Hunt. What's poppin', my friend?
Hey, Con. It's been a couple weeks since I was here, so
it's been a
happy
while.
to be back.
All right. How you been?
Doing well.
You went on vacation, right?
Only for a few days. That was weeks back.
He went
we
to
were
the
on
cricket
vacation, then I
match.
came back and I did one episode, and then you guys were off last week, and now I'm here again.
Are you trying to tell me that a cricket match takes longer than your vacation?
I did not go to a cricket match.
But yes, it does take longer.
This is America. Do you think there's any actual cricket matches happening in
There
this
are
country?
cricket
Of
Like
course, there's soccer matches
To be
happening.
fair, actually, I'm underselling the fact that there is now Major League Cricket in this country, so there are cricket matches happening. But just no, I did not. I went on a regular vacation, not a cricket vacation.
Okay.
Who you calling?
Huh?
Who you calling?
He's calling Unc, bro.
Bro, is that Michelle?
Oh no, we don't have a slip.
This is how shit happens.
This
you
is
know,
how
you just,
Shannon got
you
fucking
accidentally hit dial. Next thing you know, you're broadcasting out to 5,000 people while you're getting your sweet strokes in.
Oh man, poor Unc. Poor Unc. Why'd they do that to Unc?
Why they do? Why did he do it to himself?
The internet did it to him.
What are you talking about, man? He had 150,000 people live last night listening to his explanation.
And I'm pretty sure we were all part of it.
I was
Or at least
watching.
3 of them.
So there were 5,000 people watching while, you know, he was doing the deed.
Yeah.
But they
then-
weren't watching anything. They're hearing.
Yeah,
Wow.
they heard his vinegar strokes.
His vinegar strokes? Is
You,
that
know,
a
you
thing?
never saw the league?
I ain't mad. I'm
Yeah.
disappointed.
Tell him, Landon. Tell him about the vinegar
You gotta watch
strokes.
the league, man.
Come on, you
know,
gotta
you
watch
know.
the league. You gotta know.
God, it was so good.
Yeah.
That podcast was amazing.
They have like whatever millions like subscribers.
They have like 1.5 million subscribers.
They had 250K like at peak. Just listening to them
It's
talk
insane.
about this
insane.
issue.
Do you know how impossible it is to get 12.5% of your subscribers to show up to watch a live? That's just not a thing.
I mean, there's
You
a
know
way
what
to
this-
do it.
If you don't
you
check,
got to do something here, Matt.
Yeah, Burke. I mean, we're trying to get these views up, so it's up to you.
I don't got the same polling power, if you will, as
the problem was
Yeah, you don't have
everybody
the same
knew.
polling.
Everybody knew Ocho was going to make jokes, and that's why everybody showed up. The jokes were gonna fly.
yeah. For those of you who don't know what we're talking about, Shannon Sharpe, former NFL tight end, current media darling, and co-host of renamed Night Clap, Nightcap with Ocho Cinco, was getting it in yesterday, and he accidentally went live on IG.
He really was.
It was only audio, thankfully. We're all happy about that, but they did a special emergency broadcast last night to address the elephant in the room, if you will.
Right.
I think we got that clip.
Like you gonna take this dick?
No,
Now,
no.
I'm just saying I ain't never heard you talk like that. I ain't never heard you talk like that. Now what we do got to work on is ain't nothing wrong with your hips, you know, but we got to work on your cardio. Cause you like you gonna take this
All right,
dick.
not
Now,
that clip, but yes, that
good
clip.
enough.
That was Ocho kind of roasting him a little bit. We can actually hear the apology though.
It was kind of funny when Ocho said, he's like, you're going to take this dick, and then you were like, back it up.
It's muscle memory, you know? It's muscle
Right.
memory.
I think you have the other clip, maybe.
Yeah.
Now that you've ruined him for the day.
You
The
ruined
agency, I called ESPN after I just got this good. Tell them the truth. I said I just got to tell them the truth. My phone wasn't hacked. It wasn't a prank. It was me being a healthy, active male. I mean, y'all thought I was bull jiving. Hey, I'll get it in. Real talk. Hey, yo,
come on, man.
Sparks hard, Ocho. And, you know, I
Come on, man.
He sparks hard, Ocho. And, you know, I hit one early this morning.
Come on, man.
In all sincerity, I'm extremely embarrassed. The agency, I called ESPN.
He doesn't seem embarrassed at one bit.
Not one bit. And the fact that like his nickname is Unk is so perfect.
Yeah,
Unk.
You got to give him credit for not going down the my phone got hacked, because that's what like everybody does. The first thing they do is my phone got hacked, and then it comes out later. It's like, no.
So what had happened was his assistant or somebody that works for him,
his PR guy,
got on his Instagram after he found out it was live, turned it off, and that was the first thing he put out.
Oh, okay.
So,
but then it did get hacked.
He
was just trying to put out the fire.
Yeah, right.
He said that.
Gotcha.
He got hacked.
Yeah,
but like, I like that we're getting to a point in social media society where we've seen enough thus far, where we're just like, we don't care, man.
Yeah,
we're fine.
we don't care.
Right.
Just own it.
Yeah.
You know, it's fine. ESPN's not going to fire you. Which, by the way, what's his face? Who's the NBA guy that got fired for going
Paul
IG?
Pierce.
Paul Pierce. Yeah, he did an IG live from a LA poker game where he has like 3 girls draped over his shoulder. He's like smoking a cigar or something like that, and they were just like, "Nah, this isn't the ABC family."
I mean,
brand.
we live in a world now, like with the technology, where like a click of a button, your entire life can be broadcast to tens of thousands of people. It happens. So like there are going to be accidents like this that happen where you go live when you never expected to go live.
You know the
so
funny
it's just
part?
like whatever, you know.
It's never tens of thousands, because if it's ever going to reach tens of thousands, it's going to reach 1 million.
Yeah, well,
like
who was
on the internet.
Who was the poker player that accidentally didn't turn off his?
We talked about this.
Big Dog Pocket Fives.
Big Dog Pocket Fives.
He's ruined for life, man. Just before his. Oh, actually, no. There was no world where he was getting away with that one.
No, right.
It wasn't just the sensitive content. It was the nature of the sensitive content.
Right. If it was just like, you know, a normal,
right,
normal vanilla.
They yucked his yum,
easy
bro.
with the word normal
They
over there, bro.
yucked his yum. You
Right,
know,
they did.
it was a bad time to be Big Dog Pocket Fives.
Bro, I'm thinking about every disgusting thing I've said throughout my life while I'm boning. And I'm just so thankful and happy that my phone at no point has ever turned on.
There's not that anybody thinks Dane Cook is funny, but there's a great bit he used to do way early in his comedy career. It was like his first album. And the joke is how like when you're having sex, nothing makes sense anymore. And I think the punchline was something to the effect of like, "Oh yeah, you like that? This dick feels like corn." It's just like, you know, that was kind of like what Shannon reiterated over and over in the podcast last night, was like, I would never do this on purpose. Like, that's such an intimate moment.
Yeah.
But the fact that he's not running from it at all, I think is
commendable.
Great. Yeah,
for sure.
Not just commendable. Like, we were kind of talking about this before the podcast, and I was saying it's so great to see how much media has shifted away from the traditional buttoned up Tom Bro. Not that we don't need journalists. Like, of course we do. If anything, there's a massive shortage on them now. Mm-hmm. But
I mean, if it was Wolf Blitzer out there, you know, stroking it, different story.
Why would you put that image in anyone?
I'm so glad I have no idea who this is.
Just think of like a 5'8" bearded bowling ball,
60-year-old man.
Yeah. But like, you know, so much of, especially sports media, so much of like what it is the athletes themselves, right? They're the stories. And within the last 5 years, I think Draymond probably deserves a lot of credit for launching his podcast. He was one of the first, like the pioneers. But in every sport, you can see it now. Retired athletes, current athletes, even Draymond. I think LeBron might have a pod, and a handful of others.
Everybody has.
They're just kind of like, they're out there. They're talking inside baseball. They're kind of like peeling back the curtain a lot of what's happening within the industry. But also now, fans are getting a much more one-on-one-ish type of experience with them. And it humanizes them, right? So,
dude, they get full-blown interactions with them. Fucking the Knicks guards, Josh Hart and Jalen Brunson, they have a show, and whatever, all the players come on it, but they have a show called Roommates. and it's popping. They had they did basically a block party in Central Park the other day.
Yeah, like that's super amazing for the space, but most importantly, what I was saying to Conrad in the group is that like it's amazing that they give the athletes. Well, they didn't give it to them. The athletes just kind of took charge, but that they have the platform and the microphone now to just speak unfiltered. Like there isn't this expectation of being. I don't even know like what the representation is, but like there's kind of like this imagery of like a buttoned up like white dude from the 50s. Like I think of like a young Pat Riley, and like that's what the model athlete is supposed to look like.
A lot of times it has to do with like advertisements, right? Like so, like you have to be a certain way, or the people that are funding your show will stop funding your show. Well, so that's why you see the buttoned up tight guy. Now, when you just go on the internet and have your own podcast, and you're not beholden to like certain advertisers or whatever, you can kind of be more yourself.
I have a question. Can college players monetize on like their YouTube? What I'm saying is like
right. That's a great question.
So if they're like a really popular college football player and now they start
can now,
I would definitely.
I don't know. I think you're not supposed to be able to.
Well, that was
capitalize on your.
That was before the NIL.
Likeness?
That was before the NIL. Now you can capitalize on your likeness. So
right, but there's a caveat to that, right? The name and likeness, the NIL is through the collegiate production house, right? Like they can't make third-party deals. I don't think. I'm wrong.
So
I could be wrong.
There's actually, I think there's a documentary it just came out with Livy Dunn,
shout
out to Livy Dunn, Paul Skeens' girlfriend, and so like, and she's talking about like I just saw the trailer of it. I didn't watch it yet, but they're talking about how like her life changed after soon as that got passed, because she was able to now like monetize her Instagram and have products and have advertisers and sponsorships and that kind of stuff.
How much money?
Yeah, I think you can get outside.
Yeah,
I know like
you're probably right. I know the biggest impact was like things like NCAA football, like the gaming stuff, the jersey sales.
Yeah.
And most of that's coming from in-house. Like most colleges have some sort of like slush fund dedicated to NIL.
I think there's like a kicker that had like a YouTube channel. And it's like this was before the NIL stuff.
Oh, okay.
You're talking about the Destroyer.
Destroying, yeah.
Yeah, now he's like he's like plays in the Canadian leagues, and the reason why he didn't play college football is because they wanted him to get rid of his YouTube.
Yeah, they wanted to shut down his YouTube.
Oh, and he was
so
just
it's
making
probably not allowed then, right?
He was like,
no, it is now.
No, that was
before.
That was when the rules were very strict.
Yeah, I think he plays Canadian football though.
Man.
But he does. Whole bunch of cool kicks.
Timing is everything, man.
I can only imagine how many NCAA rules we broke
you want to
back
hear
in the day. I gambled so fucking much. Parents took me to Windsor Casino when we went to Wayne State in Michigan. I was like 21. They're like, we're going to go gamble. You play poker, right? I'm like, yeah, let's go.
I don't think you weren't allowed to gamble.
Fuck you not.
No, I don't think you're allowed to gamble on sports betting.
I don't think you were allowed to gamble at all.
I don't think you're allowed.
Really?
No, I don't think that's right.
I mean,
I think you're allowed to gamble, man. Fuck, I was about to say something. Damn it. All right, whatever. Come on.
We lost them.
Yeah, they definitely look down on gambling. It's just like, what was the line where you were able to play blackjack and not play, not bet sports, or was it all forms of gambling?
I'm pretty really confident you weren't allowed to
even if you were of age.
Gamble. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, we violated a lot of stuff, course, for sure. Especially like
a lot. Eat.
Some of the gambling was our meal money.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. You had to eat.
You like gambling, don't you?
Oh, what I was gonna say. So apparently a bunch of Michigan players actually putting in a lawsuit to try to recoup. I think it was $50 million from like, and it's for all players that were in from 2001 to 2016, because there was just a lawsuit filed for players like 2016 to now, or like right before the NIL started.
Yeah,
that they were suing for some money. So now. I forgot who it was. It's like the famous kicker. Who is the kick returner? Denard Robinson from Michigan?
No. I think Desmond Howard?
Desmond Howard, was it?
Desmond Howard won the Heisman.
He went to Michigan?
Yeah.
Okay, so he's the one.
But he was like 98.
Oh, maybe it's not.
I think.
I don't know. But anyway, there's a group of players that are basically suing for.
Retroactively?
Yes.
Is that even?
Well, the problem is they opened it up with 2000, like giving players money from 2016 and 2020.
Oh, I didn't realize they
they won.
went back.
I forgot what the case is called, but they won a bunch of money. So they're now doing it reactively. Trying
Good.
to get,
Honestly,
it's great.
I have very mixed opinions of like higher education in this country.
I mean, the NCAA was making so much money off people's name, image, and likeness. So it's just like the fact that now the actual athlete or can capitalize on that is a very, very good thing.
If we look at like 50 years of it, it's like hundreds of billions,
probably trillions.
Like it's absurd, like the amount it could be.
I mean, just Nike's involvement alone. Like
that's true. 50 million is like a drop in the bucket. Not even.
Yeah,
well, I think it's important to think about all the players that were on scholarship and what those scholarships look like in terms of like
I think this is a terrible take. This was always the reason why. This was always the counter to kids being able to own their own.
They should be getting.
No. What I'm saying is like it seems like an injustice. What I'm saying is like they only get allotted like so much food from the cafeteria. And aren't they like? You would think that if they're bringing in that type of money to the school, maybe they should get some sort of kickbacks. I don't know.
Right.
The old argument was that they're on scholarship, so they're getting a free 6-figure education. But it's like that's nothing to the university. You know what I mean? Having additional bodies at the school, like sure, then maybe you could make the argument they're taking the place of paying customers, but like a lot of these universities house tens of thousands of students,
right?
So you're talking about like a fraction of a percent,
right,
that you're letting on for free, and those players are now working for you, earning you 10 to 100x your actual tuition,
right?
It's actually kind of crazy because if you look at it, like they were getting paid in tuition. Now they're getting paid in tuition and dollars in the most part for a lot of these kids.
And there's a huge discrepancy.
Yeah.
For the vast majority of like the high profile athletes, the ratio of what their education costs compared to what their earning potential is,
it's absurd.
It's like 10 to 1.
This started with like Shedeur Sanders, right?
It didn't start with him, but he was one of the major faces. Caleb Williams too.
Benefactors of
Caleb made a mint. I don't remember what he was, but I think he was the highest paid collegiate athlete last year. That's why like
Sanders probably had so much stuff with Nike, and
Sanders is going to be
a rapper now.
He's the highest. I think.
Yeah, no, but I think Caleb was last year.
Williams reported to have made $10 million in NIL deals over the past 2 seasons.
Right,
it's sick.
$5 million a year, and I think Caleb's averaging 6 right now. Not Caleb.
Oh, I was going to say Shedeur. Yeah.
Shedeur.
That's nice, man. The college kids used to be broke. Now they rich.
Well, it's
Johnny Manziel needed this shit, man. I'm sure he's getting money under the table type stuff.
It's very
Johnny
interesting.
Manziel was the absolute worst comparison you could ever make. His family was filthy fucking rich.
Doesn't matter.
And he was getting paid under the table.
That's what Landon was saying.
What do you mean? He said he needs this money.
No, that's what he was saying. Was this is Johnny Manziel Part 2? Only it's above the table.
I wasn't saying that, but sure. I mean, like I knew he was getting paid or whatever. But like, if this was going on then, like, I just feel like it doesn't matter.
Yeah,
his family is rich.
I didn't realize he was rich.
They were oil money rich.
Like same thing with Reggie Bush. They gave him back his Heisman, I think, retroactively.
I think I saw that.
I want to say yes, but then they unretired his number, I think.
It's a trade, you know.
What would you rather have, the Heisman or your jersey in the rafters?
It's true. So it looks like he's getting 4.8 this year, I believe. Shedeur.
It's a lot of money.
That's a lot of money, especially when especially like when your rookie deal that you sign in the NFL is
it's like less than
very small, 7 figures.
Right.
Like you'll get a signing bonus and then the league minimum. That's
how the draft contracts are.
Yeah, and I mean it's pretty crazy the way it's structured in the NFL, because it's one of those things where it's like you have to prove yourself at that level in order to get paid, but the average career is less than
3 years.
The length of the first contract.
It really is kind of brutal when you think about it, like the game of not even like you trying as hard as you can, but like staying in the league as long as you can, because like if you get hurt, like you're done.
Yeah.
Like if you get hurt bad enough, like it's over.
Yeah, and you can't just like float around. If you're a high draft pick and you're just a journeyman, like you're not going to ink that big deal.
That's why we also seen like a lot of players in NFL that are high profile just sit out their 3rd year unless they get the contract, or 4th year.
Right.
Like now it's more fourth year, but
yeah.
Jamar Chase is
That's the big
doing it with
negotiation
third
here.
year.
Yeah.
Well, just like not playing as much.
They just won't play because they basically they don't want to get injured. They give them.
They
a
just have all the
contract.
leverage to renegotiate. So they're making a 3-year deal rather than 5. They're basically saying like, instead of me hitting free agency next season, why don't we just extend this bad boy now and give me the check?
Holy shit! Bronny made 6.1.
Yeah, but he's already rich.
Yeah, he was already rich, and he only has a 2-year.
Bronny
NBA.
Manziel.
He only has a 2-year NBA career ahead of him, so it's not that big of a deal. All right, let's get into a little bit of poker. Reminder that tomorrow we have a meetup game. All of us will be there.
Let's get it popping.
It's going to be 1 p.m. at the Venetian. We're going to be playing every stake you want to play, every carnival game you want to play. There will be giveaways, including a 2-night stay, spa credits, as well as I think we're doing like some splash pot type of stuff. So if you guys are in the area, be sure you swing by the Venetian. $3 an hour comp as well.
Let me tell you something.
Come say hi to all of what?
That grandpa meetup time is perfect. That 1 o'clock, that hits my stride.
It's mid-evening.
I like that, baby. Ooh, it's right before nap time. I'm taking a nap. I can skip nap.
Yeah,
we're in the
I'm
streets.
going to have to go a little bit early and make sure that the servers know to not serve you this time.
Oh, I'll find alcohol
I'm
somewhere.
going to get you cut off
you're
after
gonna have
like 1 or 2.
That's like a wide spread of places you're going to have to go.
Sure.
Hey, if you see this black guy with curly hair, don't
You're
serve
one of
her.
one, buddy. I promise you that. You're
No,
one of
what are you
one.
talking about? I have 2 other twins. We recently seen them.
That's true. They're tournament guys though, so it's okay. The Poker Go studio is off and popping. Timestamps Bro died a valiant death on day 1, the 5K final table. He got it in what, Ace King versus Queen 3, was that right?
Yeah. It was,
Ace
it
King
was the
suited
first
versus
hand
Queen 3 off.
first hand of FT.
Yeah. Just folded to the small blind. He shoved. Obviously, Timestamp Bro called. Brick. River Queen.
Yep. GG my G.
But he's back.
But it's okay. He is back. Before we get to that preview, let's talk about what happened in that event. 2 satellite winners go heads up. Jessica Verling, who was the chip leader going into that one, she ended up coming in the runner-up spot, ultimately losing to, I forgot his name.
Spencer Champlin,
who, I mean, both of them are pros, but I imagine he
Value
would
hunters,
have
if
played
you will.
regardless of if he satellited or not.
I don't know about that.
Yeah, probably.
He doesn't play a lot of 5Ks, I don't think.
He's had a sick year, you know.
That's true.
Yeah.
This 5K was unbelievable. It was great.
161,000. Oh, there's the graphic right in front of me. 160,000 to first place. He took that down. Jessica got second, as we mentioned. Dylan Lindy third. Dan Shack fourth. Zachary Gretsch fifth, and Nick Seward. C-word.
TSB.
C-word.
TSB.
Let's get it popping.
Got 6th place for fucking Dust Bunnies, 32,000. Leading into today, this is event 2.
Yep.
So you back-to-back final table. This happens so fucking often.
That's
in
what the
studio.
fucking kid does.
I don't like. Why is it so easy? Why aren't you there, Lance?
He didn't final table the first one.
Oh, right. Well, when do you start stringing it together, my guy?
I don't know, man.
He's a bookend kind of guy.
Okay.
Yeah, bad timing. Well, we got lucky this time, I guess.
Why?
Becker's trip leading.
You got to swap it?
Why does that make us lucky?
Well, if it was a cross book.
Buddy, well, you can't be living in this crossbook fucking world, okay? It's over.
How did we get lucky?
It's
like,
fucking
if it was still
over.
going on, you'd be doing pretty good.
We got lucky. Like
you had a $250,000
Yeah,
score.
like what are you talking about? You've cashed for $100 million this year. He's cashed for 102,000, and all of it happened to be on the fucking crossbook.
One lucky
How
guy.
did we get lucky?
Lucky guys.
We did not get lucky. I got incredibly unlucky that you chose to underperform during the only time that fucking mattered to me.
I'm sorry.
Keep rocking it off with 8s on the fucking bubble of the main event. You
Hey, man, you had it.
goddamn mop.
It was enough to nothing. Open the goddamn door.
Have some respect for the fucking game, man.
I did have respect for the game.
Hunt, when are we gonna get you in the studio?
I was wondering how long it was going to take you guys to actually talk to me.
Well, we had to talk football first.
You know, I was actually legitimately seeing how long I could go without saying anything. I was curious, like, are you guys going to let it go like half an hour?
I thought
think it was like 20
I thought the vinegar strokes would bring you in, but that's
surprisingly, by that
didn't have an
point, I had
opinion on
already
that?
tuned out.
Yeah.
Yeah. I tuned out as soon as the name of any NFL player was mentioned. So there was like
You
50
did-
names I had no idea.
You know what? We need to watch this. You need to watch the sex tape. That was the problem.
Well, it's
Really?
not really anything to watch.
Right,
It's
you,
just
you need to listen.
it's audio.
It didn't sound like it was particularly entertaining.
He did growl. He did
How
growl
many
at
sex
one point.
tapes have you leaked, Hunt?
Leaked? Yeah. Not a lot.
Not a lot.
Not
Just like a
Hunt
handful.
content just floating around out there.
Non-zero
Not
though.
No comment.
Okay. So, are you getting in the mix in this Masters? I didn't realize the buy-ins were so affordable.
Well, they kind of scale up, I think. Like they go up to like there's like the 5K, 10K, and then there's like a 15K. And so I'm probably not going to be playing any of them, but I am coaching somebody who's playing in them. I'm actually coaching the legendary Steve Zolotow for these things.
Wow. Okay.
The Eagle.
Love
Yeah,
the
exactly.
Eagle.
Right?
Let the Eagle
he got in
soar.
touch with me. He wanted to do some prep for some of these 5Ks and 10Ks for the
Love
Broken
it.
Ghost
That guy's got
Studio.
a couple sex tapes, that's for sure.
So
That's fact.
So I've been doing some work with Stevie Z. So hopefully he goes out there and ships a couple.
Okay.
All right.
So
Steve.
he's in the mix. He didn't manage to make today's final table.
He did not, unfortunately.
Today is led by the one and only Jeremy Becker. Nope, that's not true. It's an actual legend of the game. Texas Mike.
Texas fucking Mike.
Texas
Let's
Mike
go.
coming in with the chip lead. Looks like, wow, everybody's
Nope,
super
nope,
fucking
nope.
close.
Fortunately, you can't read.
The real legend.
Oh, it is Becker.
No, it's it is.
Yeah, it's Becker.
It is
That's
Becker. If
Only
you read
just.
the first part of the article, it would say Jeremy Becker.
Wow, they are
It's just the seat
wildly
draw.
close.
It's just yeah.
Yeah.
no, it's not the seat draw. Mike is not first.
I know that. I'm saying you thought it was Mike.
Right. I
You
thought it was
were
Mike
wrong.
because the last update I saw before I went to sleep was that he had all the fucking chips, but it looks like he dispersed of all of those chips.
What does that say?
I don't care.
I know. I could tell.
I just don't care, man. Scroll down so we can see the list.
There was a please in there, right?
No.
Poor
So
Bobo.
it looks like they made it significantly sooner because I believe Seward's final table was 50K, 100K big blind.
Well,
Well, it's a
For the-
smaller field, right?
for the 10K, they do 40-minute levels instead of 30.
Okay.
Mm.
And this was how many people in the field?
100.
Oh, so not that much smaller.
It was not that much smaller, no.
Okay. So yeah, it looks like chip lead here is a little over 50 bigs. That's pretty nice. Becker comes in with 2.8 million. Right behind him is the one and only the legend himself, Danny Sepiol, former podcast guest. Let's hope he has the podcast run good. Timestamp bro, right dead smack in the middle, 1.7 million. He's gonna have to fight his way
He's not
through.
in the middle. He's 5th out of 6.
Is he 5?
Yeah.
One, two.
Wait,
Oh, I
when-
missed Sean Winter.
I'm not reading anything today.
I just
What's
totally.
going on?
Well,
Someone's
you guys
gotta
are
keep
all
this
so
guy honest.
fucking.
Always want to make fun of me about reading, huh?
You guys are
Well,
all
there's a
so
difference. Someone can speak but not
Shut
read.
your face.
You can't read or speak.
Okay. now we're gonna have a 3-minute bit about how 5 of 6 versus 4 of 6 matters all that much. Like,
Hey, man.
who cares? Everybody's
Smack
bottlenecked
dab.
The
here.
in the middle.
autistic urge. to
Redline
just keep
brings up
keep
the-
correcting you.
Redline brings up the rear with like just shy of 10 bigs, but you know he's got Tom Brady in his corner. So
Right.
And Lady Gaga.
and Lady Gaga. Man, the guy knows all the legends, huh?
It really does.
What
is
does
a
Seward
legend.
got to do to win this jacket? Back-to-back final tables isn't enough.
No,
Mm-mm.
He's
He
gotta-
needs
he's
Ace
gotta
King
win
to
a
hold
few.
up.
No, it's just like, well, I mean, it's obviously points based, and I think the last event of the series is double points.
Okay.
So it's very hard for someone that like goes back to back, even for like 1 and 2, to actually hold the lead, because somebody else will probably have a run of making a few final tables.
Right.
Or if someone like final table is a 10K and then wins the 25, they're gonna like swoop the jacket.
Yeah, isn't it like a
kind of
point,
thing.
like a point per $1,000 you cash for?
10
or
points
something?
per 1,000.
10, okay, so yeah, it's a point per $100 you cash for. So like, you just have to cash for more than anybody else, I guess.
Right, with the double points being the 25K.
Right. So you just have to run
Right,
good in
yeah.
the 25K.
Yeah, like
So
there's more reasons for people to like. I was talking with Spencer about this after he won and like max slated this because he cashed this tournament as well, so he got some more points. But even then, like, it makes it kind of tough because you know that the 25K is not going to be as good of a field, but also you get some of the EV back where if you make a run or if you cash it or make a final table, he does probably get to secure the jacket, which is worth the 25K plus some other stuff like brand-wise if that matters to him. So I'll probably end up playing it depending on who wins what.
So you get a 25K bonus for winning the jacket.
And then you get a 5K
correct.
seat.
To the NAPT?
Yes.
That's a part of the jacket.
I believe so.
Okay. And then what are you talking about brand-wise?
Like winning the jacket's important to
Is
people.
Name me 3 jacket winners.
Chidwick.
That's the only one I know.
No,
that's not
I think
Ali.
D-Negs has one, right?
D. Peters?
I don't think D-Negs has one.
I think D. Peters.
Didwick, Ollie, and
Ali's definitely
yeah, I want to
it.
say D. Peters as well. Probably.
I mean, it's the people that we all know are really good at poker.
Yeah, but that's
But it would be cool.
kind of what I'm saying. It's like, could you name me all the jacket winners?
All of them? No.
Well, it's only like 5.
We'll make it a thing when Timestamp Bro wins it and we bring him in here on the podcast wearing it.
We're going to make fetch a thing, man.
Yeah.
It's
Fetch?
funny how with
Yeah.
with bracelets, everybody's like
The mean
gets
girls.
mad about the devaluing of bracelets every year, and then with every other event, when they start to try to give something to the winner, like the jacket, or whenever they give like a belt, or they give some kind of prize, everyone's like, I don't give a fuck, just give me the money. Like it's so weird, like the complete opposite.
Well, I mean, WSOP was just first.
I mean, people only care if we make it care, you know? Like, people say the bracelets are devalued, but everyone still loves bracelets, you know?
That's what I mean. Like, yeah, like it's weird that people complain them on the one hand and then
So
they don't care on the
I
other.
can name them all.
Yeah, because you're looking at a list.
2017 Goose, 18 Ali,
I was gonna say Goose was
19
in there.
Savral, 2000. Those are
2020 doesn't count.
Yeah, 2020 are both PLOs.
One was
20
online.
Oh yeah, 2021 was Adamo. 2022 Winter. 2023 Chid.
Okay, so no D. Peters. He just keeps winning in the USPO.
He
Got it.
just
Mix
wins
it up.
everywhere.
He
That
went-
makes me think that
He
this,
got the double Eagle Cup at the Kobe picture.
that makes me think that this is the first year that they've done the smaller buy-ins because I'm looking at the total amount cash for, and
It's a lot.
well, the first one's Stefan won 2.7, which
That's not gonna
over
happen.
4 caches.
Right.
That won't happen this year.
So that was over 4 caches.
You have to win every event.
Twice.
You might, yeah, twice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The 25K will probably
So
be
look
pretty
at
big.
like in 2018, this is the second one. They had a 10K,
Fuck me.
25K, 25K PLO, 10K short deck, 25K hold'em, 50K hold'em, 100K hold'em.
That was 2017.
2018.
Okay.
Yeah, back then the Masters used to have all the games. Like, you just play different games for
Right.
the Poker Masters.
Now specifically.
Now it's like the No Limit Masters,
Right.
which is not a bad thing. You know, it's just
Right.
like some people like playing mixed games and stuff. But now they're adding more series for those individual stuff, like the
So
PLO
even
series.
Chidwick's win last year, he averaged 300K per cash, which makes me think that
was there a 50K last year?
there almost had to be. Like,
Yeah.
I felt like I was losing my mind when I saw
can look
that
right
it
now.
capped out at 25K this year, and you guys were just kind of like, "Oh yeah, that's the thing at the Poker Masters." It's like, was it?
No, it was
I don't
not.
ever remember this being affordable.
It might not
So-
be a thing at the Masters.
Last year there was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 10K, 6 10Ks, and then 3 25Ks, and then a 50K.
Okay, and then the year before that, almost certainly,
It was 100K, I think.
yeah.
Let's find out.
Sean Winter won the jacket the year before with only 2 caches.
Because he won a tournament at the end, right?
He just
He
won
won the
one tournament.
25K at the end.
Yeah, he won one tournament and had a total of 777 in caches.
So actually, no. Basically, there was 3 hold'em 10Ks, 10K 8 game, and a 10K PLO. Then there was a 25K hold'em PLO,
Right.
and then a hold'em 25K, and then a 50.
So
as
it was
main.
more mixed, and then they had a 50K at the end. I think what
Yeah.
they've since done is they've separated the PLO series from,
They've just added
Well,
its own
they're
series.
basically doing it right
It's right afterwards,
Yeah,
right?
where
Yeah.
they're putting the PLO.
and then they have
super
a
high
mixed
roll.
game.
Mixed game
They have a mixed game
series.
series once or twice a year.
Yeah, they're basically spreading everything out, so you can always spend some time in the studio if you'd like.
I think in October or November they're running a bounty series, which is going to be new.
That's cool.
Oh, that's fun.
I hope it. Oh, so it's just gonna be like all
Different
types.
sorts.
I just think that every event's going to have like a bounty or like a
bounty attached to
PKO
it.
structure.
Mystery, PKO. There's a whole bunch of them. They can just.
I have no idea what's going on there, but
Speaking of, did you see? I think it was Kessler that tweeted out. Maybe Bergata was doing a mystery bounty.
The mirror.
Yeah, they did a mirror mystery bounty. So every bounty that was available reflected a prize distribution in the payout structure.
So what was really funny about that is he added Ryan Bogard from the win. And Ryan's like, Alan, you realize what you're asking for. You're asking for half of the prize pool to go into bounty.
Right. That means like if you pluck first place bounty, you get whatever first place prize is. Right. If you pluck 10th place bounty, you get whatever 10th place is.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
So it just mirrors basically all the bounties just mirror. So the lowest bounty was $800
whatever min cash is,
and the lowest bounty was $14.25 or something along those lines.
I don't mind that. I think that's fun.
I think
it just means that the bounty pool is higher than
right. Exactly. Just adds.
The bounty pool is half. It's half and
values.
half, right?
Right.
I think it just adds another concept to another tournament. Like it just shouldn't.
Yeah.
It shouldn't take over like a normal mystery bounty or.
I'm waiting for some live venue to do a total KO event where there's no payouts, because there's some online sites that offer those, and really? I have a student who plays online in Canada in a place where they do have occasionally a couple of these total KO events. I ran a sim for one of them, and it's absolutely insane. Like you have to open wider under the gun because there's more players behind you to bust. And then on the button, you're like super tight because there's only 2 players behind you that you can bust. Like nothing matters except being able to bust people. It's kind of fun.
Pads would lose his mind.
It's sort of absurd. Like it really destroys tournament poker to some degree. But I did think it was funny when I found that out. Like everything is about
people would be really
people.
angry to make some day 2 of this tournament and get no money.
Well, yeah. I mean,
that's
why
it's probably never going to happen. But I just thought it was funny that these tournaments exist online. Like, it's such an absurd way to play tournaments.
I'm not so sure that the mirror is a great idea, though, by increasing the size of the bounty pool, because, I mean, it's kind of whatever. I guess it matters, like, what the rake is.
Because it shouldn't be the full amount. It should be half.
Yeah, like if they only raked half the prize pool, then I think that's fine.
And that's probably not the case.
Correct. The reason why I say this is because you have such limited access to the bounty prize pool that all it ultimately does is flatten payouts a ton. Although, does it?
No, I don't.
Because if you wait until you're in the money.
Right, you have to wait till you're in the money.
Right.
You can't do it any other way. So as soon as the money hits, the bounty kicks in.
Right. So it's actually might be the exact opposite.
Yeah, so
it might not flatten payouts. It might steepen them.
It is the opposite. It accomplishes 2 things of making payouts closer to chip EV, because now you have huge incentives to gain chips to accumulate bounties. But at the same time, the prize pool is distributed differently between players, because everybody who makes the money has a decent likelihood of picking up bounties, and therefore, the amount of money that actually goes to like the top few finishers, the percentage of the prize pool that goes to those players is going to be way less than it would be in a normal tournament. So,
wait, no, is that true though? Because what all that's happening is they're creating a payout structure for half of the prize pool, and then they're reflecting it in the mystery bounty. So if it was just no bounty tournament, that would just be combined, and everything would just double. So it actually is flattening, right? Because you're adding variance now to how you're getting access to the second prize pool.
Oh, I see what you mean.
So on average, everybody's going to make less money than if the prize pools were just combined.
I see.
So it's going to be a lot flatter.
I see. Yeah, I guess I was saying the opposite of what I thought I was saying. I'm tired.
You know what would be interesting is the.
You're right though. It does create a chip EV scenario.
In this scenario, this tournament, the bubble play would be really. It'd be wild because you'd be disincentivized to bust the short stack at your table when you're on the bubble.
It's funny
you'd
you say
rather
that.
be in the money
if you have chips. This is
a good segue because I'm in the middle of making a course about bounty events, and that is a real thing. Like the idea that you should, like, if you're coming up on the bounties are going to be in play the next hand, and there's a short stack at your table. Being able to bust that player on the next hand is a pretty meaningful source of EV. So you shouldn't try to bust them one hand before the bounties.
The thing that prevents this, though, is that the vast majority of these events bag for the day as the bubble burst.
Right.
Yeah.
So
you don't know what your table draw is going to be when the bubble kicks in.
Right. Yeah.
Right. That's the thing. I've been doing calculations for like how big the bounty bubble is, like how significant is it to make it into the bounty portion of the event, and it makes a huge difference whether you've got bounties kicking in before the money or at the same time as the money or after the money. So like you've got 3 different types of bounty tournaments. You've got like the WSOP 10K mystery bounty where they had the bounties kick in on day 2, but then there was like 90 more bust outs before the money actually kicked in. Then you've got the win events where it's always bounties and the bubble at the same time. And then you've got like WSOP Mystery Millions where only 5% of the field made it to day 2. And that was where the bounties kick in.
Right, so you're already in the money.
Exactly.
Then,
You're way into the money, in fact. So
yeah.
there's like 3 very different situations when it comes to like what the day 2 bubble signifies and how big of a bubble the day 2 bubble is. And I've been running a bunch of calculations to try to figure that out. It's actually really interesting. So it should be hopefully a really good course.
Yeah, it definitely sounds, and I'm glad that operators are experimenting with this stuff. The more I'm thinking about it in my head, the more I really do like the mirror event for something like the WSOP $1 million bounty.
But the problem with that is operators aren't going to want to do this when it's supposed to be half the rake.
Right, that's the thing.
That's just not
you have to give a rake break. Right,
yeah, and that's just not going to be. I'm trying to find it.
They rake it the same way they do a normal tournament, and they just take that prize pool that's left after the rake and just split that in half. So it's like the same rake.
Yeah,
right?
But I guess like paying the same rake for now a really flat payout structure feels like it's worse. But maybe I'm not putting much thought into this. I might just not be analyzing this correctly. If you're like, isn't the point of paying a bit more in rake, like, isn't some of the reason why we pay higher rake often because the ability to just unlock like 800 buy-ins up top or something like that?
I mean, the distribution of how the prize pool is allocated between payouts shouldn't theoretically have that much of an influence on people's ROIs overall, other than that the better players will benefit slightly more when, prize pools are slightly more top heavy, right?
Right.
But I don't know if we have any like hard numbers to show that the ROIs that are achievable in super, super top heavy stuff are that much greater than if you took the same, same rake, same field size, and then you just like slightly flattened the payouts. I'm not exactly sure that.
What if you like significantly flattened them? I guess I always like to test at the extremes.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's going to be that's going to get to the point where like it requires a different skill set, right? If you look at like satellites, where the payouts are completely flat,
right?
Now it's a totally different set of skills than a tournament where the payouts are not completely flat.
Right.
So if you take the extremes of like winner take all and then satellites, like you get to the point where a player that's good at one is probably not going to be good at the other, right?
Yeah, that's a fair comparison too, because I actually think that satellites offer, if I'm not mistaken, they actually offer a really high ROI. It's capped.
Exactly.
Because like,
any individual event, you can't make 800 buy-ins or whatever.
Right.
But over a sample size, your ROI can still be very high if you have the skill set of cashing at a high frequency.
Right.
Yeah,
same with
you're
winner
going to
take
get 10x
all
every time.
Right. The same with winner take all. You either make 800 buy-ins or you make nothing. But over a sample, like your ROI could be pretty high. I think with live poker in particular, we just have such small sample sizes. I don't know if we really have any data that actually shows for any individual player like what effect that has. For online, maybe we do, but I don't have access to it.
I think maybe I'm just like overly sensitive to rake, and I'm putting too much emphasis on this, because you're right. Like, it's not like a regular bounty where you wouldn't have access to both prize pools. The fact that it's only in the money players means that you have a fair shot to increase your ROI on whatever it is that you cash for. It's just going to naturally on the aggregate be a lot flatter than if the prize pools were combined.
Yeah, and I also think that when it comes to thinking about it in terms of skill edges, understanding when to like change your strategy to try to increase possibility of picking up bounties, that's a skill edge in itself.
Right.
So better players are going to pick up more bounties than weaker players because they're going to take the right gambles at the right times.
That is kind of true too, which is an interesting kind of pivot off of this, where it's on the aggregate, the payouts are going to be flatter. But if there's a huge discrepancy between skill, like let's say that of the players that make the money, 5% of them really have unlocked strong bounty strategies and 95% haven't, that 5% actually is probably going to perform a lot better than an average payout structure.
Yeah, the funny part about that is everybody's running these bounties for the exact opposite reason. because they want to.
The variance is so high.
Yeah, because they want to distribute money back.
And that's kind of what Pads was speaking to, because he's playing online where everybody knows the strat.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's just an all-in fest where it's like you basically have to go with any two in a lot of situations where, you know, it just doesn't make sense not to. And I think he feels like that's not poker anymore.
Yeah.
Which you're right. From the operator standpoint, that's a great thing. I guess, though, if we think that that's true, like that's where it all ultimately converges, then it kind of just does become a rake fest.
I think the interesting thing about bounties, though, is that people perceive variance in a weird way, where they look at what's happening inside the event, and it is very high variance because there's a lot of all-ins and stuff like that. But if you look at a sample of 100 bounty tournaments or whatever, there's going to be fewer instances where you achieve like massive ROI, because even if you win the event, you don't win as much of the prize pool. But there's also going to be fewer instances where you just bust and make $0, because sometimes, depending on the exact bounty structure, even if it's one that has bounties from the start, you can bust the event and not cash, but you can pick up bounties. And if it's a mystery bounty where the bounties kick in before the money, you could pick up 3 bounties and not cash. So the overall distribution of outcomes for any individual player in terms of how much you win or lose by playing that event is actually going to be lower variance, even though the hands you play within the event are wildly higher variance because you're getting it in crazy situations. So
you mostly get some of your buy-in back if you're playing online PKOs.
Exactly, yeah. Like you get some of your buy-in back at some frequency. And then when you win, you don't get that much. You don't get as much as you would if you won like a normal structured event. So it's bounties are really interesting.
Yeah, it sounds like you're wading deep in the bounty waters these days.
Yeah, it's complicated shit, man.
Deep in the streets.
It's not easy to run some of these sims because you really have to. You have to some of what I've done is like you take a bounty structure event and then you have to try to replicate the payouts as if that event was not a bounty and compare like how the strategies differ. So I've used the WSOP payout calculator that they have online, where you can enter a number of players and it'll tell you what the payouts would be for that buy-in. So I've kind of simulated, the actual bounty events that they have, and then what the payout structures of these events would look like if they didn't have any bounties at all. And it's interesting to compare the two. So hopefully this course is going to turn out well.
I feel like you're always in a situation where you're curious enough that you're starting to do the like hypothesizing and experimenting, but that ultimately leads to you having to kind of like pave your own way, right? Like even the way that you're describing this with the prize pools and stuff, like you're kind of just trying to like engineer a model out of thin air.
Yeah.
Where basically. It's like, okay, well, what's the best thing that we can have to lean on here to actually have a glimpse of what's supposed to happen?
Yeah, it's one aspect of studying that I really enjoy. Like I don't do a lot of traditional studying by watching videos and stuff. A lot of the studying that I do is like try to figure shit out for myself in
making
a way
videos.
Yeah, right. Like trying to figure shit out that people haven't figured out. Like what effect do the bounties actually have, and how much do certain things actually matter compared to what people say, how much people say they matter, and that hopefully leads to interesting discoveries.
Yeah, I think that I approach it very similarly, but I don't think that that's necessarily common or needed in order to get good at the game. Like I think the vast majority of players that are incredibly good at the game just have somebody in their purview that's capable of doing all this discovery type work.
Yeah, and I would love the opportunity to kind of be that person for somebody who's like playing in a lot of these high level environments, because I do think there's a lot of undiscovered stuff. I think there's a lot of stuff that people who are just out there playing every day maybe don't have the time to investigate, but I'm putting a lot of time and energy into that. So
hunting the eagle already.
Yeah, right. Like it's
it's
interesting that I've had the opportunity to work with a couple of people recently who are just looking to kind of prep for specific types of events, because it does allow you to study in a more precise way, like this type of event, what do we have to specifically do at this stage of this event, and so on. So that's an interesting way to coach, and it's a fun thing for me to be part of.
Yeah, I feel like this is something that like Brewer's really good at.
I expect so, yeah.
I don't know like how much he's working on discovery versus like putting in hours at the felt, but like I think about the guys that are like out there on the precipice of discovering new strat, and like Brewer comes to mind, Ike comes to mind. I think pads comes to mind, but I'm not sure if it's because he's doing the legwork or if because like he's kind of the mouthpiece, so to speak, for a collective that's doing the legwork. But in any event, like it's undeniable that he's just always at the forefront of strategy when it comes to online poker.
Yeah, and I think with pads as well, what I imagine has served him really well is he seems very willing to experiment in practice with things before they've necessarily been proven in theory. You know, so I've seen videos of his where he's like, oh, this final table, I took a strategy where I was just limping everything. You know, like he just played it out in practice and was able to experiment and kind of build a strategy on the fly in that way, in a situation where other players might not have the confidence to go out and execute a strategy before they've really like researched it and kind of figured out how it's supposed to work in theory. You know, so I think pads has that kind of practical experimentation aspect to his game that probably serves him really well.
Yeah, that's the live guy in you. You know, I mean, that's all we do is we just fuck around and find out.
Well, you also have the luxury of you're playing in games that are so deep where even if you wanted to be running like pre-flop sims to test things out, it's just really hard to do that. Like,
right.
I mean, we've been running sims, like I've been running sims to help you out with certain stuff lately, and it's like, oh, these are super deep stack spots. It takes forever to run these sims, you know?
Yeah. Get those to you in 2026.
Yeah, exactly, right?
that was a great foreshadowing for in the muck hand that we're going to cover today.
Oh, yeah? Okay, nice.
But now that you've gotten all your flowers, we can't let you off the hook here, Hunt.
Okay.
For Weekend Warrior, you laid the wood.
Oh, I got wrecked, yeah.
You laid the wood on a 7-1 favorite.
I did. And I got
and
wrecked.
it didn't come through.
This is what happens when you bet on any English national sports team.
No, this is
because we are a nation of chokers.
Then why would you subject yourself to that?
1776, baby. Woo!
Yeah, exactly, right? This is what
Eagle.
happens.
That's why you work with the Eagle now. You got to get a win, baby.
I made the mistake of trusting that because England's cricket team had won 5 games in a row against a couple of pretty crappy teams, they would win the 6th one. But they didn't. They managed to lose it pretty comprehensively.
We need a soundboard of this eagle screeching every time he talks.
What did you say yesterday to Conrad Lemanum? Prior results don't.
Prior results don't predict future outcomes.
You see, the real reason why Hunt lost is because you know what he did? He came in the chat and he said, "Why am I in this group? My sports knowledge only goes as far as soccer, cricket, and pro wrestling."
Yes.
And you know, we gave him a website that he can get those.
You did.
And then he decided to say the words, "I'm gonna destroy you guys with obscure cricket bets."
He's gonna destroy us $30 at a time.
The only part that was right about that is you're making obscure cricket bets.
Well, you know what's funny is this was a cricket bet, but this was the least obscure cricket bet I could have made.
Yeah, he just bet on a match.
I bet on England versus Sri Lanka. I could have bet on Malaysia versus like Myanmar or something. Like that's an obscure cricket bet, but I don't even know enough to bet on that game.
Like Japanese baseball, he's just gonna go after.
Now
it.
we're talking Trevor Bauer's
This
fucking
is like,
cricket.
when you're stuck like so much money on the night, but like you need to get a win to try to get all your money back, and you just go all in.
Only Japanese baseballs on
Shanghai
TV.
Dolphins.
Time out. Not only Chinese starts at 11, the Korean starts at 1, 2. And then
Won.
Won. And I actually think Japanese comes on around 4 or 5.
This brings me back to college, man. When I was like broke and was betting with like a frat sports book, this is when I stopped gambling altogether.
Oh,
this is when
good.
Dalton had to give me money because I owed them like $1,000.
Oh, now we've come full circle.
Yeah, it's full circle.
So Hunt, you doubled down, right, and went with a huge favorite again this week.
Yeah, I did. And this time I went with a huge favorite in a sport that's a little bit more reliable, or at least I went with a team that's a little bit more reliable.
He has the entire roll on to win $10.
To win $30 more.
It's not that extreme, but I did go for Man City against Brentford this weekend, so that should be. I mean, I don't think it's a lock necessarily, but I think
you could probably find like Erling over 2 goals into even money.
I thought about just betting on Haaland, but like I don't know. Just there was an international break last week, so he might be a little tired.
I thought you'd go the other way and take a huge dog to try to get that 200 back. But
no,
you're just gonna grind it back 30 at a time.
Grind. Yeah, my goal is not finish last.
That's
I told
true.
You guys.
Yeah.
There's real money up for grabs, Hunt. Your goal is to win, baby. You gotta win.
My goal does not want the punishment.
Exactly right.
He can't handle it. If we're gonna make him dress up in some kind of weird thing.
Precisely. I am the main thing here is avoid the punishment because
I already know.
You guys are gonna dream up something fun.
I already have yours. 100% already have yours.
Oh, I'm sure you do.
I know what it's gonna be.
I
sure
feel
you
like
do.
to a degree, like if somebody goes broke, like their punishment should be personalized for them. It shouldn't be like
we can discuss amongst the
it
group.
shouldn't be like a mixed group punishment. Like some people's are going to be much worse than others based on who they are.
I'll tell you right now, if Hunt loses, he is going to do an entire podcast dressed like the guy from MythBusters.
Oh, that's fine. I can do that.
Yeah.
Jamie Rosen, I think is.
I can. Oh wait, the guy with the mustache or the actual
the
redheaded
goatee
guy?
who wears the. They're both kind of like
Jamie Heineman.
Jamie Hyneman, yeah,
Jamie
yeah,
Heineman.
yeah.
Oh, I can do that.
Yeah.
That's
With the beret. You got to grow out the mustache though. You really got to get the handlebar.
I don't know if I can do that.
Well,
like,
we'll try.
That's a challenge.
We'll
man.
try
I'm
it,
not,
we'll give you
I'm
one.
not Stevie Chidwick out here. I don't have like the magnificent mustache that like curls around like that.
He
that's
really does.
challenging.
I
have
just
an
saw a
incredible
really good
mustache.
punishment for somebody who lost in their fantasy football league where they had to enter a wrestling tournament and he had to wear a really tight singlet that says "I suck at fantasy."
Enter a wrestling tournament.
like Greco-Roman wrestling type thing,
like an actual
amateur-
wrestling
wow.
tournament, like for adults. Yeah.
Why did these exist?
For these specific purposes.
Right,
For
yeah,
fantasy
yeah. For
football.
fantasy
Everybody in that
punishments,
tournament
right.
is somebody who lost the fantasy
Correct.
football league, and they all have to wrestle each other. That's the whole organization there.
What do we have any status on our 2 weekend warriors?
Nada.
They're holding up the fucking show.
Wow.
We got Hanks and Platt on the line at some point.
Anyone would think they had something else to do. You know what's going on?
I mean,
here?
yeah, it's a dip in, dip out kind of situation because they're in the studio. You know, they're getting ready to handle this final table full of legends, nonetheless.
That's right.
Ren Len on the spin up. You know, timestamp bro.
Oh, now they come in, huh?
Look,
Now they come
I don't
in.
know how to fill time. Let's kick it to our guests here, the weekend warriors themselves.
Hello, Brent.
Oh, why? Hello, everybody.
What's popping?
Are we live?
Yeah,
We are live, and I see you haven't changed since the last time you were here.
No, I haven't taken this off since the
I
last
don't
time
blame
I was
you.
there. I'm very excited. I've got the Josh Allen experience on her. You want me to take it all off?
Oh my God, that's amazing.
Look
Are
at
you
this.
going to try to wrap up this? Like, you talk to the players and say play quickly so you can get back home and watch this game, or
No, here's the thing. If this goes beyond 3:30 today, I'm out the door.
you're just leaving. Just leave it to
can't
Jeff.
risk, like a traffic jam. I have to give myself enough time to get home, and Jeff is he's gonna have to go solo. Speaking of which, going solo, Jeff is not here.
Wow.
He should be walking in the booth any minute. It'll be very, very awkward when he
He
does.
likes
The
to make an
door-
entrance.
Door right behind me is where we'll see him, so I'm trying to capture that.
What a fucking
I could not
diva.
get in on my laptop, so I'm on my phone.
That's fine. That works.
I can't
I'm
wait for
with you,
Hanks
by
to
the
lose
way, on the
today.
loyalty. I'm taking an international flight this weekend, and I had the choice between flying Saturday at a reasonable time or taking a 5:30 in the morning flight to Dallas to then get on a flight as kickoff was beginning for the morning games. And I said, you know what? I'm going to fly Saturday. I can't risk it.
Wow.
I can't risk it. You know, what if I fall asleep during the afternoon games
And
because I had
missed
to
the
be
Steeler game.
Yeah, and I just missed the Steeler game. Like
Right,
that's
they're
insane.
125.
Isn't that like the best time to be on the plane where you just have the Wi-Fi? You watch
That's
all
what
the
I was
phone-
thinking, Conrad. It really was. But then I thought to myself, if I wake up at 5 o'clock in the morning in Vegas and I have to take a 2-hour flight, have a 30-minute layover, and then take a 14-hour flight from there,
You might be sleep. You sounds like if you leave Saturday, you might be sleeping all Sunday. In that
No.
scenario.
I landed 8 a.m. Vegas time.
8
So
a.m. Sunday.
Yeah. So
Where
I'll
are you
have
coming
Sleep all
from,
day on
Berkey?
or sleep the
I
whole
missed
plane
it.
ride.
Where does the trip?
we're going to the other side of the world. We're getting the fuck out of here.
It's an undisclosed area.
He's going to an undisclosed location.
It's real shady.
Parts unknown.
Super shady.
Wow. All
Just-
right.
Just real shady. I'm going to be bringing the podcast from a dungeon somewhere in
bunker
Lithuania.
somewhere.
You're going to actually do the podcast, and we're not going to be able to say where you are.
Oh, it's just going to be a
kind of-
blacked out room. Like
Yeah.
it's going to look like your background minus all of the glitz and glamour.
Yeah, there's a lot of glitz and glamour going on here.
Yeah, well, that's all guapo. Thank you.
You'll have that plant behind you, and you'll have some scenery.
Yeah. No, I
But
won't.
no bullshit. You really are leaving the country?
Yeah, 3 weeks.
This was
I'll be
my
gone.
reaction. Like, what the
Wow.
hell's going on?
you know, we're boots on the ground, man. We're gonna go see how the military's operating overseas.
What really happened was he changed his Tinder to Lithuania and he found a couple of females, and now he's
looking for love, man.
He's like, literally, he's like fucking
He's gonna
3
search
weeks
the
on the
world
road.
for love.
He's on the hunt for love.
Don't act like he knows where Lithuania is.
So we're on a worldwide journey to
It's in
find
the
the
Eastern
one.
European region.
Yeah, we don't need to know. He doesn't need to know where it is. He knows how to buy a plane
He's got
ticket.
Vlad. You got Vlad Tomasauskas with you. You know,
You guys understand.
So what's really going to
I'm a
happen
commitment
is,
phobe, so I can't have them come here.
It's
You
true.
know, I got to go scout it out first, and you know.
So what's really going to happen is we're going to have daily updates about his love life in Lithuania for the next couple.
I may not know where it's at, but this motherfucker can't pronounce it. You better pick another Slavic nation that you can actually say the words of.
This is why I'm here. I'm a European who knows how to pronounce things and knows where they are.
That's true. That's true.
Hanks, I love you, but the Bills must fry today.
Wow.
But
I love you too, but nice performance yesterday down here at the Masters. Looks like it's great. I'm with you, by the way. I think the Bills could be in some trouble.
We both could win, Hanks. Wait, what did you pick for this week for your?
Well, it's not. Let me
Relax,
run the
bro.
fucking show. Okay?
I've got to go soon because my pick is Tyreek Hill anytime TD.
You're not gonna have to leave before Platt get. Maybe you will.
That's what I'm saying.
All right,
He knows what he wants,
Go ahead,
man.
Hanks. Give us your pick.
Okay, well, you want my pick of the week?
Well, I wanted you to finish your thought on the Bills before
I'm sorry.
Landon so rudely interrupted you. But yeah, we'll take your pick of the week.
All right. Well, let's start with the Bills before I was rudely interrupted by this Dolphins idiot. I think that we're in trouble because our defense is not so great. We're banged up. Our secondary is terrible. Teron Johnson is our stud, and he is out again. Matt Milano, who's basically the Josh Allen equivalent to the Bills' defense as Josh is to the offense, he is still injured and not playing. And Miami's loaded with speed. That's going to be a really big problem.
The cheetah
you can't
baby.
Stop Tyreek. You just can't. Like,
We're
he's
so
gonna
fast. We
get
got
his.
arrested.
I mean, oh boy. He's going to get his, and I think it's just more about you can't let him get like 3 touchdowns. He can't go off for 300 yards. He's going to have 100 yards a game. He's going to have a touchdown, and it's up to Josh Allen, which is our difference maker, to see if he can keep us in the game. We have Josh. Miami doesn't. Tua stinks.
What's your outlook on Tyler Bass? He's the only Bill I have.
No one cares.
Oh, I mean, he was a little rattled last year, but he'll be all right. I mean, he's a kicker. just put the ball.
Are we looking at a lot of field goals tonight, or what?
What?
Are we looking at a lot of field goals tonight, or what?
It's like, what?
I don't know. Honestly, for Buffalo's sake, I hope it's a lot of field goals. If we can keep Miami to field goals, we might actually win the game.
I got Sanders too, so we're good.
Door's open. This could be
there
the
he
one and
is.
only.
Wow.
The one and only Jeff Platt, ladies
Sorry
and
to
gentlemen.
interrupt the Bills rant.
Wow, we really appreciate this, Jeff.
Well, you guys have always been very timely, so it makes sense why you've been having it.
That's true.
You know,
That's true.
We don't have a run a show or anything. We're not trying to stick to a script. You have our poor guest Matt Hunt here for the second time this show, having to endure NFL talk.
The cricket guy.
Big time.
The cricket guy. The guy who
man.
doesn't apparently know anything, considering I bet on a favorite and they lost.
Cricket bro is not cooking.
Yeah,
This
not
is
cooking.
kind of his punishment at this point.
Yeah,
for
at this point,
losing
yeah.
such a big spot.
Cricket bro bets on games.
So you two managed to pull off some sort of miracle. Less so Brent. Brent just went heavy on Minnesota, which I thought was a bit of a gamble, but they look pretty
Darnold, baby.
great. What the fuck are you doing, Jeff? You just knew? You got inside information? Or
We're sharp. We heard that Northern Illinois plus the points was sharp. Also, huge letdown spot for Notre Dame coming off that win against Texas A&M. So in college, Bowling Green against Penn State, very similar spot. So in college, just kind of look for those, or I just listen to a podcast and do whatever they tell me. It's not y'all's podcast; it's from.
Nor should it be.
Don't do what we say.
Nor should it be. Saw that you wanted to get greedy this week and go with 2 different picks. We
I
nixed
wanted
the
3.
second one.
I wanted 3, but in the rules, it states at least 1 pick per week. So
that's how it was.
Conrad's not very good with English. You know this.
Relax. That's how it was. That's how I wanted it. And then everybody started bitching, so we changed it to 1.
Yeah, because we're already struggling to get through these 2 picks. Imagine if I had to sit through a fucking Jeff Platt slate. It's
You
like
should see
Paint
his
the board,
play, man.
Just
When
paint it.
he bets at a minimum 20 games a Saturday alone. I'm not kidding. Am I
right,
kidding?
like
No.
I don't need to get inside that mind, just give me your best and brightest. Like I already saw you wanted the Broncos +4, which is hilarious. Don't worry, I'll anti-sweat that one for you. What did you end up going with?
I'm on the very sharp side of the Ravens -9.5, and the reason why that's sharp is because that line, I believe, is down to 8.5.
Yeah.
So clearly got that at a great number early in the week.
Closing line value, baby.
I thought it was going to go to like 11, and I like Jeff's mentality of like the letdown games and sort of the must-win spots. Ravens getting heartbroken by the Chiefs. I just think this is a huge bounce back game for them. They're going to annihilate this week. Lamar should go off. I expect a lot more of touchdowns from the receiving core, which we didn't have last week. A lot of Zay Flowers, and their defense is fantastic. No one talking about the Ravens defense yet.
Mr. Hanks, how much of your bankroll are you putting on this wager?
I put 460 to win 400. Exactly what I did with the Vikings last week. I was big. I think the Vikings are good.
Yeah.
I think Darnold is actually good when he's surrounded by weapons and by an offensive line. And he finally has a team. It's not the New York Jets and it's not the Carolina Panthers. He's got the Vikings. They're good. He's better than J.J. McCarthy. Now.
I mean, you don't have to convince me of that. I'm not a big JJ believer. What do you got there, Platt?
Going to go with the Bengals of Cincinnati, coming off a not
These assholes take the Ravens and the Bengals.
Week 1 performance against the Super Bowl champion Kansas City Chiefs. I think we're all prone to overreacting from week 1.
Oh, that's
the Bengals
adorable.
Probably aren't that bad. Mahomes is not great as a more than like 3.5 point favorite. So give me the Bengals. And I had the line at 6 a little bit earlier in the week, but it's moved down. Don't mean to brag, very sharp to like 5.5.
Mr. Platt, what are you wagering? How much?
I think I'd put in 200, but at -116, so 232 to win 200, I believe.
Okay, so getting a little more conservative here, which
well, that's because I thought I was gonna fire 200 on a couple of different games, painting the board. I'm an artist.
hey, if you want to change your risk, you're welcome to. I'm all for it, especially since I think this is an asshole bet. So if you want to put 500-600 on, go nuts, big guy.
You want to change it right here?
I think I'll chill.
Yeah.
I don't want to go too hard against Patrick Mahomes.
I thought maybe you might be a little more conservative betting against the fucking
They want to
Chiefs.
bet against the Steelers. They want to take every other team in the AFC North. What are you guys doing here? Is this like you trolling us?
Does
Trolling
the
Berkey and
offer
I?
stand, by the way, here? Could I change my amount for the Ravens with 9.5? Is that
No, the line moved.
So yeah.
the line moved in Jeff's game as well?
Yeah, Sharpe to the better way.
All right.
He got that closing line value. You didn't. Talk to Sean Perry. Maybe he'll let you hedge.
So I'd check in on that.
We'll talk to Perry. But he's actually our source for the Sharpe.
Yeah,
right. I knew you guys were in that Telegram group. No, we didn't. I can't afford it. Not doing so hot this year. Why don't you give us a quick breakdown of this final table before we let you out of here?
You got the seating chart right there.
Okay, all right. Your guy.
Do you know who's there?
The timestamp guy. Timestamp pro. Stewart is back.
Yeah, he's
Back-to-back
back.
final tables.
That's right.
He is back.
He played his heart out yesterday. One hand. Eliminated. Ren Lin, who's probably our favorite player whenever he's at a table, just because of his no gamble, no future mantra and his little quirky lines. He's relatively short. I think he's got a half a big blind.
But he has gamble and future.
Yeah. Sean Winter is dominant inside the studio. He will be at the final table. Danny Scipio, talk about a heater. Scipio and Stewart, these guys are just final tabling and winning events left and right. I don't know what it is that they're doing. I don't know what they're eating, what they're drinking. Are they really that good? I don't know. The results are off the charts. I think they're just a couple of outliers at the moment.
Wow.
I could be wrong. Scipio seems
shots
really good.
Fired. Yeah.
I'm not taking shots.
It was counted.
Sounded like it.
It sounded like a shot to me.
Yeah.
They're sun running is what I'm saying. They're playing great.
Right.
You're allowed to play great and also sun run. They're doing both. Texas Mike.
Yeah.
First time that I can recall him ever playing any of these tournaments. Just sits down, first event, final table. I think that's just a great story with what he's going through with his health. And he's a degenerate gambler, which I automatically love. So thrilled to have Texas Mike here. And
best
then
for last, right?
best for last, we got J-Backs, Jeremy Becker, the chip leader, who had 4 big blinds on the Stone Cold bubble.
Wow.
Coming into this thing with top 15 players being paid. He then goes on a heater of a lifetime and shoots it up to now taking over the chip lead, coming in with 6 players remaining. So it's going to be a great final table. Tons of characters, a lot of storylines going on. Jeff, anything else you want to add?
I just want to add that they're pretty deep to start play, so we might lose Brent about 2.5 hours in, like he told y'all. He's hard out for Brent today, 3:30 p.m.
Yeah, that's unlucky for you, Platt. But we think that you can carry the load. No pun intended. Speaking of carrying the load, what do you guys think about this Shannon Sharpe news as it dropped yesterday?
The load.
That's a good transition, Berkey. That's why you're the best. What do you think?
Well, I here's the thing. I'm not going to lie or pretend that I know what's happening. I don't. I didn't see what happened. I just saw the headline of your show today.
Oh, okay.
And realized I must have missed something. I didn't have time to catch up on the latest drama. So if you don't mind filling me in, what did Shannon Sharpe do?
Not Shannon Shore. No.
Sharpe. Jesus,
Shannon,
not Shannon Sharpe.
that'd be a way different story for Shannon Shore. Platt, you want to fill him in a little bit? What old Unk got into?
As Shannon said, I believe, you guys might have recapped this perfectly. He was just at home being a young, healthy adult male, enjoying some time with a woman.
Okay.
Accidentally, somehow, some way, went on Instagram Live while he was enjoying that time, while she was very much enjoying the time. No video, but audio.
Audio, yeah.
Audio was on for about a minute and a half.
Only
she tried to go with the I was hacked, and then was like, you know what? I should probably tell the truth here.
Yeah, she called him Shannon multiple times in the audio. It was only like the final 90 seconds, but we really caught the vinegar strokes there of him growling at the end as he came to climax.
Oh, I haven't actually listened to it. Oh, I'm surprised you guys have.
Oh, yeah. How could you not? I mean,
right.
Come on, you guys got to dial in.
You know, he's not he's quite a big guy, so I imagine this was very intense.
He was growling, Hanks.
Wow. I
mean, it can be more intense for smaller people too.
No, the growling is an animal. I certainly cannot relate.
I don't mean to brag or anything. That was good. Platt, you're the fucking best. Don't ever change.
Wow.
Tell wifey we said hello.
That was amazing.
The woman involved, is he married? Is this like his significant other? Or?
It was Michelle.
We don't know which Michelle.
The world doesn't know which Michelle, but they're trying to find out.
Michelle Beadle tweet. It wasn't me.
Yeah. Yeah, pretty incredible. All right, on that, we're going to get you guys out of here. We got an In the Muck to get to. Thank you, as always, for being a part of this. Best of luck with today's final table. And with the Dolphins, Brent, you're probably going to need it.
Go Bills.
Yeah,
later, squad.
Agree. Thanks for having us, and we'll see you guys. We'll see you next week.
Go Bills.
See you, boys.
Bye.
See you guys.
Oh, man. I don't know if he intended to do that, but like,
he did.
Fucking clip it, baby.
That was so fucking good.
Internet, do your thing. That was too good. That was the most genuine laugh I've seen Lamanna have in maybe 2.5 years of doing this show.
That was the funniest thing I think that's ever been said on this podcast.
I think so too.
It really just nailed the line of like shock and humor all at once. I mean, even Hunt was. He's like, I don't know who the fuck this football guy is.
You say like I have no sense of humor. I'm a British person. I just have a different sense of humor, okay? It's
well, I have to tell you, us here in America, we don't understand. I never got Mr. Bean, and I don't really get the rest either. Let's go through this In the Muck really quickly. I'm curious of your thoughts, mainly on the River decision here.
Sure.
I was pretty lost in game, to be honest.
All right.
All right, so we find ourselves back in the app game, playing 150-300 with a big ante. We're three-handed here, and I am going to find myself with a premium here in the big blind. We're going to face a button open, and it's he varies his opening size. Sometimes he goes like 4x, sometimes he goes 2.5. This time he went like 2 3/4. So he opens 800, small blind folds. I 3-bet big. Now, if you're wondering about this sizing, this is something that, thanks to Hunt and running some sims, as well as GTO Wizard, who also ran these sims for Coin Poker, you go really big, especially when you're deep. So
Super big. Yeah.
it's because of the ante, 22, 24 big blinds is the preferred squeezing, or the 3-bet size here out of the big. We're met with a call, and we find a pretty favorable flop here. King 4 deuce, 2 spades. We don't have a spade. Generally kind of a good thing, I think, on a board like this where there's not a huge target of hands to get called by. You're basically c-betting, hoping to get called by pocket pairs, draws, gut shots, etc. So I went for B66 here. This is exploitative. I think this is a B40 spot. But he's really sticky, and I want to try to fast track getting the money in. Felt like going 3E was too much. It was overbet. Didn't think that was really going to accomplish what I had hoped to accomplish.
I mean, this isn't. I don't think 3 would be overbet, right? This isn't.
Yeah,
SPR.
I guess
SPR is like what?
7.
Yeah, like 8 or so. So like, yeah. I mean, I don't think you'd have to overbet.
Yeah, it might be pot.
You go 8. He calls. There's 29. You go 20. There's 60. Like this is basically 3A.
Okay. Yeah, you might be right, actually. Yeah, actually, you might be right. Maybe that is how I landed on this size.
I think it's fine anyway.
Yeah, I think it's probably okay. I do think it's probably a smaller c-bet size just because of the nature of the board. King highs are a little bit tricky for imposition to defend, and the bigger you go, the easier you make his life. But again, I think that, he's pretty sticky. He's probably not going to fold much, if anything, with a backdoor, where like versus this size, I think a lot of your 8-9 suiteds, 9-10 suiteds of hearts.
Yeah, I mean, if they peel this size with like random middle card hearts, then this size becomes really good with value.
Yeah,
that's like ridiculous.
I would suspect that like hands like 9-10 of hearts, 5-6 of not 5-6, that's a gut shot, but 6-7 of hearts. I imagine that they just like don't fold, which becomes, I think, a reason to go this size.
I mean, it's like those hands are going to be like close against B33 here, so probably folding against B33. So like, if they continue versus this size, then it's just prints this size.
Yeah, and again, I'm speculating, but that was my in-game thought. We're met with a call turn, pretty clean, 7 of diamonds. It's really nice. Creates an open ender now for 5-6, which was once a gut shot. Some ace-5, ace-3 still going to exist. We obviously still have a pretty clear target. And the only thing we're really losing to is like one combo of king 7 suited and pocket 7s, as far as like the turn card comes. Of course, he could have flopped the set and slow played. That's reasonable, but we're just going to die in those instances, I think. So I follow through. I do think you're right. I do think I was thinking 3s because I think my size here is like 20K.
Yeah, if you go, that's
a little bit bigger.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I actually did the math on the turn, and I think 80% was correct. For 2E at this point. So I think I just like missized a little bit on the flop. It was probably like B75 3 times. Met with a call again, and yeah, I definitely missized, or I misput his stack in.
Because that turn
I definitely his stack
like
is incorrect.
B90, and this is like B.
No. His stack is incorrect because the river was very obviously. There's no question what to do on this river if it's happening.
Yeah. I was wondering, like, what?
The river. He was 90K effective on the river.
Okay.
Yeah, so I jammed for about pot.
I think that's fine. Like you're basically just targeting like any king queen king 10. Like you obviously lose to.
It gets pretty narrow though, right? Jacks. Like if we compare the ratio of his call downs versus his misses, that may have some onus on them to bluff. Is there any value in having a hand that can very comfortably check call off?
I mean, I think it feels like your check calls on this river are going to be stuff that is a little bit too, like you're going to have like some king 9 suited, maybe you're going to have some king queen and king 10 of your own. Like I think this is the bottom of value, but because of the fact that I
agree with that for sure.
Yeah, I think because of the fact that I think you just don't run into enough king jack. Like you don't really run into pocket jacks because it 4-bets pre or it folds the turn a lot. I think there's so much one pair in villain's range, and there's so few combos that beat one pair that it just feels like even if he lands here with stuff like 4x of spades, like 5-4 of spades type stuff. Like that stuff is still a bluff catcher now, you know, and you can still obviously have like the ace queens and stuff, and so that stuff is still indifferent. So I feel like we're fine here jamming for pot. I think if we get to like 1.5x pot, it starts to get really tricky because now you might want to have two sizes from out of position on that river, but I feel like for pot this seems fine.
Yeah, so that's where it gets a little bit tricky in my mind, because in theory I agree with everything you just said, obviously. In practice, I don't know how often I get bluff caught with something wider than a king. Because when it was happening in real time, I was like thinking to myself, oh, he has to call with some jack X here. Like if he lands here with ace jack of spades, this probably needs to call at some frequency. Queen jack of spades.
Yeah, I mean those hands are going to be mixing, I think, for sure.
Yeah, they probably need to call at some frequency. But practically speaking, I don't know if those don't always just hit the muck. And then he starts mixing like king queens, which would then infer like, oh, okay, well, we get to overbluff this spot. But I think that becomes challenging too, because when you unblock the hands, like maybe we overbluff with like a 4 or a 2 when we have them, because now we block his like auto calls in slow played sets.
Yeah, I think my default here in this spot would probably be to bluff with anything that doesn't have a spade. Like anytime I get hit with anything that's no spade in it.
Yeah, I think if I have 5-6 and ace 5, I just rifle them off.
Yeah, I think those for sure. And I think even having one spade makes it kind of close because it depends exactly on what spade you have and things like that. But yeah, I feel like this is certainly a spot where if he has like queen jack of spades, ace jack of spades, those types of hands, he does arrive at a spot where having, like, because you're not tripling off with spades very often, having spades is kind of good for him. And I feel like he at least is in a pretty indifferent spot with those hands versus pot on the river. There's also, like, if he has king 7 suited pre, he has enough, like, king 6 suited, king 5 suited, maybe some king 8, some king 9 still
There's
in there
for
as
sure
well.
a lot of king in there. It's just a matter of, like, do they ever mix turn, mix river, or do they like all pure call turn and then start to overfold river?
I think they, in theory at least, I would be shocked if a king ever folds turn. Like,
Right.
I think in this formation, like it just seems like you can't ever fold a king on turn.
Yeah.
And then I think on river, that's where they just start to get indifferent. It wouldn't shock me too much here if king queen was just like pure call on river, because it might even be plausible for you to go as thin as king 10 for value. But I would, my guess, I think, even just without knowing the ranges too well for this kind of situation, my guess would just be that he doesn't really have enough better than one pair to make us not okay with just going for it with ace king here, I feel like.
Yeah, I think that's fair. And ironically, I would have felt maybe more comfortable doing it with aces, which might be a little bit counterintuitive because I do block one combo of king jack suited, though I do think he probably peels king jack off, so it might not matter. I don't know though. Versus 24 big blinds pre, maybe king jack hits the muck. We could take a look at the ranges. These games get pretty wide pre. You know, there's a lot of speculating that takes place.
Yeah.
So yeah, I was just kind of in the muck of whether or not I should be practically considering a check with my hand because it bluff catches so well. Where I feel like I'm only foregoing value against exactly king queen. But I think in theory, that's just not really a thing because he has to call so much wider.
Yeah, and I also think in practice as well, it's likely to be a spot where the line where you check river is probably underbluffed. Like, he probably underbluffs when you check to him because he's not really going to want to bluff spades, but at the same time, it's really hard to figure out what non-spade bluffs he's supposed to have when he's checked 2 on that river.
Right.
Because outside of 5-6, like he's probably supposed to like take some weird. There's some stuff that's kind of weird that he's probably supposed to turn into a bluff there, like a 4 or something like that.
Sure. Yeah.
And I just think people don't. They just find a lot of checkbacks there, and they just hope you have a bluff and they win. You know. So I would think that I wouldn't be like super concerned with what my bet check call hands are going to be here, because I think as long as you just have like some king 9 and king 10 type stuff in there that can still exist, you probably are still doing fine.
Right. Especially in a 100K pot that's on the verge of swelling to a 300K pot. Like, you have to have a little bit of sickness in you to seize the opportunity when check 2 on the river from a range that looks like it's really nutted.
Yeah. I also think you could make an argument for you checking your sets of kings and king jack suited on the river there because of the fact
Right.
that you
Just block the board.
You block so
Yeah.
much of the bluff catchers and you unblock every potential bluff. So I think if you just have that amount of protection in your checking range on river, I don't think you need to sweat too much over checking some ace king.
What are your thoughts as far as like choosing the big bet line with this particular hand over 3 streets?
I mean, I think it's fine if you think you're going to get an underfold versus the flop size. Like, I think one thing that I've seen from most of the node locks that I've run in various spots is that if you're able to get an underfold versus the big size on the flop, it just prints so much because you get to turn in a bigger pot and they just have a range that can't defend against aggression, or they just have a range that's going to get into so much trouble across turn and river when they end up just continuing to the turn without enough equity. So I would always say, like, if you have the choice between they're going to underfold to a big bet, or they're going to like play kind of okay against a small bet, maybe even slightly overfold, the underfold to the big bet is going to like print EV for you compared to the other one. So I like the big bet here.
Okay, cool. All right, let's take a look at the whiz. First things first, let me show you the ranges as far as like how they're compiled. I'm missing a lot of these 3 bets, I think. I would actually probably over 3 bet the 10-6 suited and miss like the Jack 5. I would definitely miss like these low frequency 10-3, 10-2s, 9-4s, the offsuit low queen. I would miss those at a pretty high frequency. The kings are easy to hit. The aces and everything else is pretty intuitive if you've studied this stuff. But some of this other low frequency stuff, I think I would miss it pretty confidently. He's really linear. So he just defends in a very linear manner. And he's correct to defend King Jack off. I said I thought that I wasn't sure how that would play.
He's probably not supposed to do a lot of 4-betting pre at this depth. Like,
it's like ace, king, aces, you know, you see what it is. It's like this top corner, queens exactly. And then, you know, just some small mix of this junk.
And this is what in position 4-bets tend to be at this kind of depth a lot of the time. Like, they're super polar between the very, very top and then a bunch of blocker bluffs.
Yeah. Okay, so moving forward, I actually have the stacks correct here at 350 bigs. Apologies for the hand replayer. We got that one wrong whenever I was putting it in pre. So it is a B40 spot, which is kind of to be expected. Let's see what happens if we add in 3E, if it's ever chosen, given the 2 sizes. I suspect it probably won't be, but worth comparing anyway. So yeah, 72% was 3E. Oh, look at that. If you offer it, it's the preferred size.
That's cool.
Okay, we found one. I missed it a little bit in game. I think that I went 66 when it was all said and done, which then led to me trying to correct course, turn and river. I think I went like 66, 75 pot. Yeah. So some like bastardized version of geosizing.
Close enough.
But yeah, close enough. Okay, so let's run it for what I actually chose. 66%, about 35% of the range bets. It's exactly what you would expect to be. All the value is carved out here from the King X. So it looks like we actually won't really even have kings through this line. You handcuff the board way too much. It's not really chosen for the bigger size. But that does mean that we're mainly leaning on aces and ace king to build out the value side. So if Geo 3 is viable, then those are going to be the hands that we're carving out this strategy on the river, which means that GM's probably pretty good, assuming that we're playing.
I believe you have the flop wrong. I think the deuce was the spade and the four was a heart.
Yeah, you're correct. Sorry. Yeah, that's my bad. That'll matter a little bit. Won't really change the strategy much, but it'll matter with his call downs, I think, because now he's going to have hands like 5-4
Yeah,
spades.
exactly. That's why I pointed out.
All right. Change this again. Okay. Wouldn't expect there would be much raising here, especially versus this size. Whoops, that's check. That's no good. If and when he does raise, which it's 0, so no surprise there, it would be for a very small size. So we're just playing click, which tends to be the response to geosizing on the larger side. So far so good. Turn 7 of diamonds, yeah?
Yeah.
I imagine the follow through here is pretty high with our polar range. Yeah, it's almost pure. So aces just goes 120% pot, which is greater than Geo, I think, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Let's see what the geo size is. It's going to be very close to that 75, which is ultimately, so it is 75.
Yeah.
Okay. So I don't know how I fucked up this pot construction. Maybe I have the stack sizes a little bit off, or maybe he had slightly less than 90K on the end. But in any event, you can see that the geo size strat is heavily driven by ace king, and the greater than geo strat is heavily driven by aces, which makes a ton of sense.
Yeah.
Because aces just captures all of this value from the king X type of hands. And it's easy to find mixes with the low equity balancers, if you will, right? You just mix in a little bit of ace king and king queen there for value. And then you throw in the 6-5 open ender now, the 7-6 that's a pair for the sneaky trip draw, a little bit of the 4-3 that again just offers like that sneaky trip draw. I imagine this is going to be spades. Oh no, it's going to be diamonds. Okay, so it's the ones that like totally unblock. The backdoor 7-6, it's of the spade variety. So you're going for like the sneaky trip, pair plus flush draw type of holding here. 9 deuce in their low frequency, we're not going to have it, but you can see like where they're pulling this from. Like the ace 3 makes a ton of sense, particularly when you have spades, but it's doing it with all the combos since we don't have it very often. But then, you know, in the B75, which I think I would have just single sized this, I imagine I would have fucked it up with aces. Not that it's a huge error, but I would have just gone geo with pretty much all my value. And you can see that it's almost pure with your value. Very little checking taking place here with king queen or ace king, almost none with aces. And you have a lot of other viable bets. You have ace 5 off, ace 4, ace 3. So these are all coming through at a relatively reasonable frequency. And then obviously your spade draws as well that you're going to double barrel and then probably give up. Now he really only plays raise with aces, so it's effectively I don't expect him to be protected here. I expect him to have aces quite honestly never. So the call makes a ton of sense.
Jack of clubs river.
Jack of club river. How often do we follow through here? Do we mix is the question. Aces don't mix. Aces just wants it. Give me it all. Give me the candy. And I did say I would have felt more comfortable jamming aces than ace king for whatever reason. So you see ace king and king queen here do come through with the mix at some frequency. We were a little bit off as far as like what bottom of value is. King queen actually represents that. It actually jams on the aggregate a little bit more often than ace king, but it's because we have so many more combos of ace king, I guess. I'm not entirely sure why though.
With the ace king off, it's probably, can you hover over the ace king off because it's probably pretty combo specific. Yeah. Looks like I'm trying to figure out what those 2 combos of ace king are that are checking.
Spade, king of
Ace
diamonds.
spades.
Ace
Yeah,
of
so
spades.
it's
king
ace,
of
ace of spades,
Ace
pure
of spades,
checks.
yeah.
That makes sense. Yeah.
That makes sense to what you were saying where the nut flush draw missing is going to want to jam.
Yeah.
So basically when you have the ace of spades, that actually doesn't make sense. Because if we have the ace of spades, then we can't check expecting a bluff jam. So it seems as though the spades probably aren't going to be jamming, and it's going to free up other combos to potentially shove. So like let's examine what the check node offers.
Yeah, I think that's what it is. I think the ace of spades is blocking his check backs when you check the river. So when you have the ace of spades and you check, you face more bluffs from
right.
worse hands, other hands.
Well, not even just other hands, but like just some king X, like some king 9s get in there.
Yeah.
For jam. Oh no, that's for 50% pot. So yeah, like king queen value bets itself when you check, so you value cut him in that regard. Although it would obviously call off anyway. Ace 3, both of hearts and spades yeets it off. So we get to face that a little bit more often. You see like 6-5 goes for it here. Pretty much all varieties. Hands like 8-6 of spades are going to shove it in. So yeah, it's the low spade combos. You are right there.
Yeah, that makes sense.
The no showdown value spades are going to go for it here. Is he turning any like pairs into bluffs?
Doesn't seem like
yeah,
it,
the 5-4 is just checking down. The ace 4 is checking down.
Although there's some really mergy stuff in there. There's like king 5 suited is in there at some frequency. I'm not sure what that. I'm not sure if that's actually like. I guess that's thin value, right? It's probably not merging to like fold out some weird king. like it's hard for us to fold like king 6 or something once he jams. So it's probably not merging. It's probably just value.
Yeah, I would suspect so. It seems like it has just a pretty high amount of pot share. But yeah, so let's look and see what his call off's supposed to be when we do jam here. See how light he's supposed to go. So yeah, ace jack when it gets there, pure. I'm not so sure that hand calls. Ace queen is supposed to call really high frequency. Like this is borderline making money. All of his king X down to king 6 or down to king 7, I guess, is pure. King 7 is 2 pair. But even like king 4 is pure. It's just king 6 and king 5.
King 4 is 2 pair too.
Oh yeah. Sorry. So it's king 6 and king 5, but this is because these block bluffs.
Right.
We just have a lot of 6-5 in our rifle off range, ace 5, those types of hands. So these are very sidecar specific. It's not about beating value. Just a king likes to bluff catch here. Ace 7, pure call. I just don't think that he's finding these in game. I don't think very many people are. King 10 off, king jack off, obviously. King queen and pure. So yeah, I mean, like very clear case for jamming the river. But I find that when I'm playing higher stakes, the money factor alters this range quite a bit. And I don't really know how to quantify that or how to make myself not in the muck in that spot. But instinctually, I felt like I was just going to get an overfold when I jammed there and kind of see the bad news when I got called.
Yeah, I think there's a weird category of spots where like you can be getting an overfold and you'd still just jam for value because removal wise and like this in terms of the scope of the overfold, like even if he's not actually bluff catching with the the Jack X or like the 7X or other stuff that's worse than a king. I feel like there's enough worse king X in that spot in his range, or his range is just dense enough to a king that it feels like it's really hard for the overfold to be significant enough that you stop jamming your ace king for value.
Yeah. It's so weird. I think you're right, obviously. I mean, like even queens are calling half the time. Which, funny enough, I feel like people will kind of arrive at that spot and they'll look at a hand like, king 10-0, and they'll have like the 10 of spades, and they'll just be like, I don't know, man. Like, I just think he's too value heavy here. I'm going to fold this one. Mm-hmm. But then they look at like queens, and it's just kind of this, how the fuck did we get here? Like, how did I get a call?
Yeah.
And you kind of like talk yourself into making the hero call with the hand that doesn't block the top pair. Live minds just like work weirdly. And even though this was an online hand, it's a live player pool. So I do let myself fall down that rabbit hole quite a bit, especially when there's big money on the line. I mean, big blind wise, a 700 big blind pot isn't that out of the norm. Maybe it is. I mean, it's a 200 min big blind game.
So the real question is, what did he end up having that led you to feel in the muck? Oh, okay.
He just folded. But okay. I was so torn on my river decision. Mm-hmm. I'm not in the muck because I think it's a losing play. Okay. I was in the muck because my mind, the way that the range had diverged by the time we got there, was he was going to have traps and busted draws. Now, of course, like the king queens and stuff exist, but my fear, and again, I'm just mainly speaking from a fear-based vantage point, my fear was that like that all just gives up. Mm-hmm. Right? Like that hands that are supposed to be pure calls become mixes in his mind, and he just leans conservative and overfolds them.
I think the other element that sort of fights against that is that even if we just attribute some small frequency of him finding a raise on an earlier street with either his strong stuff or some of his draws, now he becomes much more condensed to king X by the time we get to the river. Like even if he takes like 6-5 of spades and just rips it at 20% of the time on the turn, like now we're narrowing him more and more towards just one pair by the time we get to the river.
Right, and it works the other way too. If he does that with 4s or 7s, or,
exactly. Like if you start to take out the top and the bottom to some small degree, now you're just like he's more and more condensed. Yeah.
So why the fuck you fold, Hunt?
I don't know. Maybe he just thinks you under bluff. Maybe you haven't been bluffing enough. In
this instance, he was correct. But if I had ace 5, he was getting the fucking horns just the same.
Well, the other possibility is he just had 8-9 of spades.
Yeah.
Had nothing, and you were never going to get a chip out of it.
Yeah. That's also very likely to be true. Might have just turned to 7 with like 7-6 of hearts too.
Yep.
All right. Well, I appreciate your feedback. If you guys would like to join me in the muck, please head over to our Discord channel. You can hit hashtag Discord in the chat. That'll give you the link. Or you can go to the @onlyfriends_pod on Twitter. It's the pinned tweet. Follow the link. We have an entire community dedicated for all of our Solve for Why members. It's free. Anybody who wants to just talk shop. Let's talk shop.
Chop up shop.
Chop up shop. I don't know where I was going with that one.
Shop.
We chopping up
I went
cars?
with chop it up and talk shop, and I mashed them together. That's a thing I do here. If you guys have been around for a while, we have an entire forum dedicated to In the Muck, so please give your submissions there. Try to keep them the heads up so the tortoise picks them. We lean away from the multi-way until we can get more solves here on Wizard. That's going to do it for us. We have one more show this week. Tomorrow, we're going to be bringing you all of our Weekend Warrior picks. We'll be here at 10 a.m., pre-gaming it, if you will, before the meetup game at the Venetian. Thank you guys, as always, for tuning in. And remember, if you're getting it in, make sure your phone's off.
Amen.
That's going to do it for us today. We'll see you guys all tomorrow morning.
Peace.
Later, squad.
Peace.